Yeah. So guys, first of all, whenever you want to connect your on-premise system, okay, on-premise system, the system which is available in your customer's network, okay, it's not available on the cloud, it's totally available on the customer network. So when any cloud services, okay, need access to that on-premise system, so for that, basically a cloud connector setup is done. Okay, so cloud connector means it's like a setup or the installation we have to do locally on our machine through which the servers will be connected to SAP BTP or our cloud platform. Okay, so earlier like we used to connect cloud platform, but now cloud platform has been renamed as SAP BTP, which is nothing but your business technology platform. Okay, and now BTP it's running its services under Cloud Foundry runtime. So so the runtime that we have to run the BTP services is Cloud Foundry. Okay, so what we have to do, so our task is we have to consume OData service, and that OData service, where it is located, it is located in our on-premise system, that is in customer's network, right? So we need access to all that OData services so that we can consume that OData services in our business application studio. Okay, so the guys, the same steps follows to WebID as well. Okay, so for WebID also, WebID, it is a browser-based solution. BS is also a browser-based solution, which is totally available on the cloud. So whenever you need any access to the resources which are available on on-premise system, so for that, Cloud Connector is the only option through which you can consume that services or you can consume those resources. Okay, so I will share one blog through which you can set up or you can install your cloud connector if you want, or otherwise, just for practice purpose, what you can do for that already, see, if you want to practice for 1 month, you can take a access from this vendor and definitely within this remote desktop, right? Already the setup is already done. Okay, you don't have to do anything. Cloud connector is already set up. What you have to do, only we have to add our sub account. We have to connect our sub account to this cloud connector. Then only it will be connected. And after that, you can easily consume any OData service. Okay, even you can deploy your apps from, from your BS to ABAP repository. Okay, so let me just log in into Cloud Connector. So I think basic, there is a URL which is there. I'll just open the Firefox and from here I'll just search for the cloud connector. Okay, so this is the username and password. I'll just click on login. Yeah, fine. So this is the home page for the cloud connector. So now within this home page, what we have to do, first of all, the first step is we have to add our sub account. Okay, so can you see the option here, add sub account? So this is our first step. So first we have to add our sub account. So once we complete our sub account thing, so our sub account will be added in this place. Okay, so likewise, I have already added my sub account. You can see the sub account details here. Okay, so this is the sub account which I have added, and I'll just click on this edit. You can see the display name, location ID and all. So location ID description is you can, it's optional. Okay, wait, just, I think there is an option through which you can edit all the details. Yeah. See, already this is operational and it was connected April 7. So it's giving the yesterday date and time. I think that's fine. Okay. So what is the step? First step? First step is we have to add our sub account in this. Okay. To add the sub account, click on this add sub account option. So from here, we have to choose the region. OK, first part is the region through which our sub account is connected. So we have a list of regions here. So as my region was US East AWS. Okay, this was the region for me. So I selected this one. So after selecting the region, next we have to provide subaccount ID. So this subaccount ID is already available in your BTP cockpit under the subaccount. Okay. After that, you can give any display name. It's optional. Then you can provide your BTP credentials. Okay, the credentials that you are using to log in into your sub account, that credentials like that username and password you can provide here. Okay, so once it is done, it's your choice whether you want to provide location ID or not. It's optional. And now simply click on save. So once the sub account is added, you can see the sub account as a part of this sub account dashboard list. Okay. So once it is done, so this is how like you can see this is how I have added my sub account. And after adding or after linking the sub account, next step is what is the next step? So next step is we have to add configuration for cloud to on-premise. OK, this is what the option we have to choose. So first of all, you have to go inside this. Once you are inside this, then only we have to choose this option cloud to on-premise on left hand side. So click on that cloud to on-premise. And after that, this is what the mapping we have to maintain for the system which we have. And apart from that, we also have to make sure that we expose every path. OK. So there are two steps in this case, like in cloud to on-premise. First, we have to create the virtual mapping to the internal system. And second is we have to create or we have to define the resource path. OK, so there are two steps. So first step is let's click on this plus icon. OK, so first we will add the virtual mapping virtual to the internal system. So just click on this plus. Now, first we have to choose backend system or type as ABAP system. OK, because we want to connect our ABAP. So in a dropdown, there are plenty of options. So I'll go with ABAP system. I'll say next. After that, there is a protocol. So which protocol we are using? HTTP. So that you choose it. Click next. Now there is an option for internal host and internal port. OK, so guys, if you don't know what is internal host and internal port, so you can log in into your SAP GUI and there is a transaction for that through which you can get this details. OK, just 1 second. I'll just log in and I'll. OK, so this is a transaction. Transaction code is SMICM. OK, this is the T code SMICM. So go into that T code and there is an option on the top like go to, and in that you can go to the services. OK, so when you go to the services, can you see for HTTP protocol we are using it, right? Which protocol I'm using in this HTTP. So for that, what is a port number? So this is a port number 8701. And what is a host name? Host name is S4HANA 1909 server.com. OK, so this two details are very important for us according to the protocol that we choose. OK, the port number and host name. So if you go back into this and if you see, I have added what is the internal host here? Internal host here is IP address. OK, but it's optional. OK, if you can go with the IP address or you can provide the host name. I think that will be fine. OK, still it will work. And there is one more option through which you can choose the IP address. But at least you got it right. So from here, you can get the port number and you can get the host name. After that, in internal host, basically we add these details under the internal host. OK, not the virtual host. We will add these details in internal host. So when we click on this plus, when we go next, yeah, in host, we should provide that name, and in port, we have to provide the port number. So once it is done, now it's asking for, yeah, it's invalid. 1 second, just wait. Yeah, so it will take the same details of internal host and port number for the virtual host and port. But what you must do, you make sure that you keep, okay, the best way what you can do, you can keep a different address for your virtual host and virtual port number. You can give a different address here, anything will be fine. But see guys, first of all, it's not our part to configure the cloud connector. Basically, this comes under the basis team. Okay, mostly the security team will do for us. Okay, this is not our step, but at least we must know like what are the basic steps while setting up the cloud connector. Okay. So just provide the virtual host and port number. After that, we simply click next. So yeah, after that, we have to choose principal type as none. Just say next, and then host in request header. What we have to use? We have to use virtual host only. Just next. Wait 1 second, wait. Yeah. So we have to use virtual host only as a request header. Just say next. Now you can provide some description next. And now it's asking, it will provide a basic details like portal, protocol, internal, and the virtual address. And after that, you can just click on finish. That's it. So once it is done, you will see the mapping will be added here. And this is what the mapping I have maintained so far. OK, this is the mapping which I have maintained while adding to this. I've selected ABAP system, HTTP. You can see the virtual host I've given it as SAP.onpremise. Virtual port number I've given anything. OK, but it must be like a 4-digit. After that, internal host and internal port, it's coming from SAP system. OK, you can check SMICM transaction for that. You can select principal type as none and make sure that in host the request header must be as virtual host. That's it. OK, so once it is done, this is how the details will be added under this table. So now last step is we have to configure the resource path. OK, so to configure a resource path, just click on this plus icon. And now here, mostly the path should be /SAP/. This is what the path we maintain always. OK, so any resources which we want to consume, mostly it will come under this /SAP/path. OK, so that's why this is like a default that we are adding in this in a URL path. And now after adding this, make sure that it is active and the WebSocket must be unchecked. And after that, access policy is there. So in access policy, you go with the second option, path and all subpaths. OK, this is what the this is what the option we have to choose, path and all subpaths, and just click on save. So once it is added, you can see that details in this table. That's it. Only this much of the configuration steps are required when it comes to the cloud connector. First step is we have to add a sub account. Once the sub account is added and once it is a part of cloud connector, next step is we have to add the virtual mapping. OK, so we have to add a virtual mapping, and last step is we have to add a resources path for that. That's it. Any questions here, guys? Any questions?
Yeah, because so here it is a HTTP like protocol kind of, right? Not the HTTPS. So
No,
next
not
time it will
not
be
HTTPS.
HTTP.
Yes, HTTP
Uh,
protocol only we have to use.
but on I mean like on the live project it will be HTTPS, I believe, or something
No,
else
no,
it
no.
will be
It would be HTTP only.
HTTP only.
Yes, mostly it would be HTTP only.
Mhm. Fine, fine.
Yeah. Okay. So once all this, see guys, first of all, it's all comes under the security, and probably there would be a separate team who would be working on this configuration. So you don't have to worry, because earlier, like Yes, developer used to have access to all this, but now I think everything will comes under the security team. Okay, the security team will make each and every setup and will provide this service as a ready-made. Okay, so don't worry on this, but at least you must know as a basic overall idea. And it's even a certification. Under the certification, the questions will be asked like which address will be used as in a cloud connector. In cloud connector, which URL we will point out to. Mostly we use virtual host from the cloud connector, not the internal host. Now, when you want to expose this on-premise system to the BTP cockpit, which address we use? We use virtual address, not the internal host. Remember that, guys. Okay. So it's a certification question also. Under the certification, if you are planning for the certification, so for that also like the question is asked. Okay, fine. So once after making a secure connection between your cloud connector, means cloud connector will help you to create a secure connection between your BTP cockpit and on-premise system. And that secure connection can be established through the cloud connector. Okay, so after this, what we have to do? After this, let's go back to now our BTP cockpit. Okay, let me log in into BTP cockpit. Yeah, so now we have to go to our trial account. Let's go. Yeah, so once guys, after accessing your trial account, then we have to click on this sub account tile. Click on that tile. So the details which I provided, right, to add a sub account, all these details will be available in from this sub account. Okay, so I provided this sub account ID. While adding the sub account, you can see the region as well in this. Okay, only these two details are required. And apart from that, what details are required? You can provide your username and password. Okay, to configure your sub account under the cloud connector. That's it. Yeah. So let me take you to, so this is a BTP cockpit, and now the connection that we made. Okay, guys, the connection that we made from our cloud connector to our BTP, it will be under the connectivity. So there is a separate tab on left hand side that is a connectivity. So under the connectivity, we have two options. One is the destination, second one is the cloud connector. So under the cloud connector, the connection which I made, right? So that connection will be available in this, and you can see that. Okay. First, the when you create a virtual mapping, this master instance will be created. Okay. So sorry, not master instance. Sorry. When you add a sub account under the cloud connector, so your master instance will be created for the first time. Okay. And now when you add a virtual mapping and when you expose that resource path, at that time, this second part will be added, expose backend system, and you can see the host address, protocol, and backend type for that. Okay. And you must see the connection as connected on the top, and resource must be available. If you see any other point here, like if it is not connected and you can't see resource as available, then make sure to recheck in your cloud connector configuration. Okay, but mostly when you connect your BTP account to the cloud connector or sub account to the cloud connector, mostly you will see this details under the cloud connector tab for that. Okay, and this is what the details we have. So now after connecting your sub account to your BTP, and you can see the exposed backend system which is available now for us. Now the last step is how to consume this in our BS tool. Because at the end, we want to deploy our app on ABAP repository. And at the same time, we want to consume or we want to use the OData services that we created on on-premise system, right? So that OData services we have to consume here. So for that, who will help us? Basically, the destination will help us for that. Okay. So mostly to consume any data from on-premise system to your BS, it is done through the destinations. Okay. Without destination, it's not recommended, guys. So the best way to use or to consume or to integrate any OData service in Fiori application is through the destinations. Okay, so we have to set up our basic destination. And once our destination is set up, then only you can access that OData service in your BS tool. Okay, so now how the destination is set up. So I'll take a simple example of the destination which I have configured so far. So I'll click on this option. Okay, yeah. So these are the basic details of destination configuration which I have added for the cloud connector and even the on-premise system, which I have done. So first of all, you can provide the name to your destination, and this name is what will be used in your BS. Okay. So under the SAP system, so you might have seen a tab called data source and resources. Under that tab, we have to select SAP system, and under the SAP system, we will see the list of destination names. Okay, let's say under the destination, I have maintained like 3 or 4 destination. All that destinations will be available under your BS under that SAP system list. Okay, so now you can provide a name to your destination and then you can provide a type. So as which type we have used, which protocol we have used HTTP protocol. Okay, you can provide a description, anything. And now what about the URL? See, this URL is nothing but your virtual host name with port address. Okay, so the port address and the virtual host name that we provided for the virtual tab. So that only we have to use. Before that, just we have to add http:// and then you can paste this virtual host and port address. That's it. Proxy type you can choose from the drop down as on-premise. And now the last part is authentication. Okay. So under the authentication, see, as this is a rented system, so it's a individual ID, right? It's not managed under the organization. So I'm just using for my personal use. So that's why I'm going with basic authentication. But in real-time project, guys, instead of basic authentication, it will be principal propagation. That is what the authentication will be used, because it's not that your credentials will be used to access that resources from the cloud connector, right? If any OData resource you want to access, your specific user ID or password will not be maintained under the destination. That's not a good practice, because for you only this will work. But what about others? Okay. So for that only, mostly the authentication would be the principal propagation for that. So by choosing a basic authentication, you can provide the location ID. If it is provided in Cloud Connector configuration, you can provide. Otherwise, you can leave it as blank. And after that, you can provide the username and password which you are using while logging in into your GUI application. You can use that credential same. OK, so that is what the steps we have to follow for left hand side. And now for right hand side, these properties are very important, guys. OK, because these properties will help you to make the system available under your BS. Second thing, it will help you to deploy your app, and it will also help you to consume the OData services. OK, so the services that you want to consume. So that services are, it all depends on the properties that you maintain here. OK, so let's talk about the HTML5 destination. So this is the common property now which we have to maintain in our destination. So just add HTML5 dot dynamic destination as true. Next is HTML5 dot timeout. You can keep it as any timeout like 5,000, 6,000. You can keep some any random time. After that, SAP client. So which client I'm using 800. So that's why I've kept 800. Web ID enabled true. Web ID system, you can give any name. OK, that's fine. Web ID usage is there. Now this property which is defined here, Web ID usage, it's even asked in certification, guys. OK, it's a common question in certification. Like in a certification, two questions will be asked. Whenever you want to extend a standard app, which property you must define in your Web ID usage? OK, so which answer I will give here? See, I want to extend a Fury app which is located in on-premise system. OK, let's consider there is a Fury app which is located in on-premise system. And now I want to extend that Fury app. OK, in our BS. So which property or which value I have to maintain for this Web ID usage? That property is dev underscore abap. OK, so this property is mostly used to import apps from your ABAP system to your BS account. And this property will also help you to deploy your app on ABAP repository. So for deployment and for importing the ABAP project or to extend the Fury app, for that, this property is used, dev underscore ABAP. OK. And what about this OData underscore above? This property is mostly used like when you want to consume OData service. OK, so to integrate a OData service from on-premise system to your BS in a Fury app, for that we have to use OData underscore abap. That's it. So once all these properties are maintained, you simply click on save, and after that you can simply check for connection. OK. So if the connection is successful, then only you can easily read the resources from your on-premise system. OK, otherwise, if connection is unsuccessful, then what we have to check, we have to cross check this destination configuration. And at the same time, you can cross check in your cloud connector. So guys, any questions for the destination configuration?
So is it same with the web ID as well?
Yes, yes, yes. For Web ID also, see, now earlier, like for Web ID, right? Web ID full stack mostly. So Web ID is also part of a BTP now, right? But it was the runtime for Web ID was Neo environment. But now for this BS, we have Cloud Foundry because Neo is almost it's deprecated now. So in couple of years, it would be obsolete. OK, so now this BTP, the runtime for this BTP is Cloud Foundry. But the destination wise, the configuration which I have maintained here, right? It's 99% same to Web ID. OK, no change in that. OK, so for Web ID as well as for BS, the configuration is almost same. Only which properties are introduced new? I can see only two new properties: HTML5 dynamic destination, HTML5 dot timeout. So only these two properties are newly introduced in this destination configuration. Earlier, these properties were not available. OK.
Yeah, so this new file actually where we will be configuring, I think.
Which this destination?
Yeah, that new file. Let's say if you are using the web ID and full stack one, so where we will be configuring this new file actually?
A new
New
file means you're talking about the destination, right?
destination new file, yeah, correct.
Yeah, see this destination, see for Web ID also, like if that Web ID is a part of cloud, because there are two types of Web ID. One is Web ID which is available on the cloud, which is a browser-based solution. Second, we have one more Web ID which will be like your personal edition Web ID, which will run on your local system. OK, so for local system, we mostly maintain a destination file. OK, in one folder, in under a destination folder, we can maintain this destination file. Okay, but for cloud web ID, the cloud version of web ID, for that the step is almost same. There is no change, because under the web ID also you will see one connectivity tab, and under that there will be one destination link. Okay, and under the destination same options would be there. There will be no change in that. Okay.
Okay.
So you can, for web ID also, see web ID is also, it is also a part of BTP only now. So under that sub account, you will see this connectivity option. So
Okay.
under
So
that connectivity only, you can configure a new destination if you want. So the option wise, configuration wise, for web ID and for BS, everything would be same. No change in that. Okay. So after configuring the destination, guys, just check the connection if it is successful or not. If it is successful, it means our work is done. So now what we have to do? So after creating a successful connection between your destination, sorry, between your BTP service and your on-premise system, next step is we have to consume that OData service. Okay. So let's go back to now our BS, and now let's create a new app here. Okay. So I will create a new project here. So I'll go with SAP Fiori application, click start. Guys, you can see that, right? Now under the template selection, see application type options are changed now. Earlier we used to have SAP Fiori and SAP Fiori elements and SAP UI5 freestyle. Now see, now we have SAP Fiori and deprecated templates. Looks like SAP Fiori worklist application template is deprecated now. Okay, let's go with SAP Fiori, and I'll go with basic now. See, options are completely changed now. This is what happens if you're using a cloud solution. Okay, so updates will be added on runtime, and you can see always the change in the template options. Till yesterday, we have this option, but now you can see the options are removed now. I don't have a drop down value called SAP UI5 freestyle. And then from that, I was going with a basic UI5 freestyle template. But now it's directly available outside the template option under SAP Fiori. So go with this one, basic, click next. So now this tab plays an important role. What is that tab? Data source and service selection. So under the data source and service selection, we have to select connect to system. Okay, so that is what the option we have to choose. If you want to select a destination from the cockpit. See, so we have a list of the destinations that I have configured in the BTP cockpit. So the destination which I will choose is S4 on-premise one. I'll choose this destination now. Okay, so after choosing this destination, let's hold here. Yeah. Now what it will do, it will load all the OData services which are under that /SAP/path. And you can see the list of services here now. See, all these are OData services which are available. Okay, if I say z OData underscore, yeah, this is what the service that we created, right? Z OData underscore demo underscore service SRV. Just to cross verify, let me just check. Right, this is what the service that we have created. Z OData underscore demo service. And just to check this, I'll just go to the gateway client. Add URI option as $metadata and execute. Okay, so this is the service. So we have a navigation property and as well as PO item. Fine. You can copy this technical service name and you can directly paste. Okay. So this is what the service we have, and you can select that service from the drop down list and it will check whether that service we can consume or not. Okay. If it is valid, then you can see the next option. So just click on next option. Now you can give a view name as like a, sorry. Sorry. This is the view name. Just click next. Okay, so I'll give a name as OData underscore. Okay, so this is the module name. Okay, now simply provide the application namespace. You can give it like this. Any name you can give and just click on finish now. Okay, wait. So before we click on finish, I think apart from that, if let's say if you want to deploy this app on, let's say you want to deploy this app on BTP Cockpit, sorry, on Cloud Foundry or on ABAP repository, then you can go with this option, add deployment configuration. Okay. If you're adding deployment configuration from here, simply the configuration file will be added. But that's fine. If you're not adding it at the start, that's fine. You can also add it as later. Okay, so it can be added. You can simply add a deployment configuration file by running npm commands. So today we will see like how to create a deployment configuration file and how to deploy this app on our Cloud Foundry runtime. So I'll say no to all the options and let me click on finish now. Okay, so our project is getting created now. Let's wait here.
All the older products are built on Fiori elements, right? Template.
No, 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 no. It's UI5 only, not Fiori elements. For Fiori elements, you definitely need OData service at the start. Then only the projects will be created. Without OData service, you cannot create Fiori elements project. Okay. But for freestyle, for UI5 basic or for freestyle project, yes, you can create the project without OData service at the start. Later on, based on the requirement, right? You can integrate the OData service.
Can you integrate the Sorata services with the that freestyle element?